Hi, everyone. Good morning. I can start? OK. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for coming to this session. My name is Anshaj, and I am an Android developer at Slang Labs, where we build voice assistants for apps. Today, I'll be talking to you about why you should add voice to your apps. So tech advancements in recent years have meant that using voice functionality is no longer sci-fi, right? We regularly interact with our smart devices, to set alarms, to check the weather, and so on and so forth. So I'm here right now actually because Google Assistant woke me up on time today. So it's just something they use every day now. Now, before we get started, I want to ask you, right? What do you think of when I use the term voice? Right? You might think of your smart devices at home. Alexa, turn off my lights, or hey, Google, play my favorite playlist. You might also think about your smartphone assistants, right? Like you're setting alarms or checking your weather. And you are right. But all these experiences exist outside your app's universe, right? Sure, your app can maybe to be more precise, your app's backend can maybe talk to these voice assistant services and get things done. But in the end, the whole user experience lives outside the domains of your app UI. So now back to the topic. So why should you be adding voice to your apps? So there are two parts to this. One is why add voice, and the second part is why add voice to apps. So we'll take a look at the second part first. Now, Mr. Deming said, of course, in God we trust. Everyone else must bring data. So I will bring data to you, right? We'll look at some industry data about smart devices and smartphones and understand why this difference is actually important. So how many people use smart speakers, right? The US population is around 260 million. 90 million people use smart speakers. So that's 35% of the population. And this is data from 2021. 35%, 90 million, that's quite a large number of people. Now, how many people use smartphones? 85% of people in the USA use smartphones, right? 35% to 85%, that's a huge difference, right? Now, let's look at some worldwide data. So this is data from 2019. If you can see, China and India alone make up 1.2 billion smartphone users. North America and South America together make up nearly 600 million users. So with all this data, the point I'm trying to make is smartphone devices heavily outnumber smart speakers, right? Now, add to this, one more interesting fact is 15% of US adults are mobile-only internet users, right? And across the world, as per a 2019 report by WARC, 2 billion people access the internet using only their smartphones. And at the time, it was 51% of the total mobile user base of 3.9 billion. And it is also estimated that this number is only going to grow in the coming years. So with this context, adding voice to apps becomes suddenly very important, right? Ignore the why voice part, right? I'm just talking about the apps part. So we now know that smartphones outnumber smart devices. And there's also a growing number of people who access the internet using only their smartphone, right? But that's not the only thing we need to think about. Most smart devices do not have a screen. Most smart devices are that are shipped, that are sold, they are the cheaper versions of those smart devices which do not have a screen, right? Now, without the screen, immediately the things the user can do is limited, right? For instance, if you're trying to, say, search for some grocery items, it is much more easier to look at a screen, browse through a list of items, list of variants. Maybe you're searching for jeans, so you want to see exactly which type of blue jeans you want. So all that is much easier with the screen rather than just speaking to a voice output, okay? And the other part is apps are the primary channel users are aware of, right? Now, this can be web apps or mobile apps, right? They know, they understand it, it's familiar, they know where to find these apps. It'll be in their phone gallery or the App Store or the Play Store or even maybe the website. They'll go and search whatever they want to. So now we've talked about apps. Why voice, right? Coming back to the first question, why should brands embrace voice? So voice can be a tool to help variety of different personas for your apps, right? The use of voice can range anywhere from convenience all the way to accessibility to anywhere in between, right? So let's take an example. So someone like me, who's the tech-savvy crowd, voice offers convenience to me. I no longer have to click so many buttons. I no longer have to, go through every app's UI. I can just say and it'll be done. Now, there's also the other side of this, right? The non-tech savvy crowd. Think maybe our parents or our grandparents. So they are educated people, but they just cannot keep up with the constantly changing landscape of apps, the constantly updating UI, right? So they just need someone to help them, help teach them, right, how to use their apps. If you've tried this with your parents, maybe you'll see that you'll teach them that, hey, if you want to share a photo, you go here, you click this button, and they'll actually do the steps you just told them, right? They'll try to revise it, they'll try to memorize it, so they don't have to ask you again and again, right? So for these people, voice solves the problem that they can just simply ask for what they want. In most apps, right? If it's a e-commerce app or if it's a travel app, they can just say what they want to do, and it'll be done. Now, the third category is what we commonly refer to as NBUs, right? These are the people primarily from emerging economies, rural areas, who are coming online for the first time in their lives. Their first ever interaction with the internet would have taken place via their smartphone. These people have absolutely no context or understanding of UI and UX paradigms. Like we know, for example, hamburger menu. If you click on it, there's a menu bar going to be coming in from the left-hand side. These people don't understand all that, right? Many of these people are, two-handed phone users, right? You'll see them have the phone in one hand and they'll use the finger to actually tap the buttons, right? These are people who are very new to this whole smartphone and internet landscape. So, and another point is this category of people might not necessarily be very well educated or very well versed with English, right? And this is especially relevant outside the US. So voice allows them to speak in their native language as well as bypass the app's UI and UX paradigms, which we take for granted, but they are very unfamiliar with. So on to some user research, right? While building our product, we wanted to focus on this new emerging user category, the NBUs, and their digital experiences, right? What were the exact pain points for them? So we went out into the field and we ran some experiments, performed user research. All this is back in India, and here's a snippet from what we came across. So we gave an app to someone who was very comfortable using WhatsApp, but not necessarily comfortable with English. We told them to try to view their balance and do some fund transfer. So you can see the view balance button was right there on the home screen, but they couldn't understand where it was. They were just trying out random things, clicking on random buttons, seeing what works, right? What sticks. Maybe this will work. Maybe that will work. And it's very tedious for them, right? Now, the other example is something that we tried ourselves, right? So this is a very popular telecom app back in India, but the example use case is navigation, right? In-app navigation is very difficult. So just something as simple as enabling international roaming, just look at the number of clicks and the number of screens that you have to go through to actually enable that feature. So someone who's very new to this, who's not very familiar with using apps, there's a very high probability that they'll just drop off, right? They won't know how to do all this. So off of these two videos, now what did we learn, right? So number one, app navigation is painful. Now, it's not that this was bad design per se, but it's just that real estate inside the app is limited. You cannot put every feature front and center to be used by everyone. You have to prioritize. So of course, for the banking example, the button was right there in the front, but that was a literacy challenge. But the problem remains that navigation can be painful in many areas. Many of you might have also experienced this in many of your apps. Now coming to the second point is discovery is broken because also of limited real estate, right? You might build amazing features in your app, but if nobody's using those features, then what's the use? It is much more difficult and time-consuming to type in non-English languages, especially Indic languages, right? I'm a native Hindi speaker. I can read and write in Hindi fluently, but if you ask me to type in Hindi, I'm out. I can't do that. It's very, very difficult. I've tried that before. It's very difficult. Many people do actually do it, but again, it's way more tedious compared to English. Now, like we saw earlier with the banking app, right? Literacy is a challenge. The view balance button was right there, but because the person could not read in English, they could not use the app properly. Some of the apps can also have a very steep learning curve, right? Think of an app, maybe you open it up and maybe 5 bubble pop-ups just come at you telling you, hey, click here to do this, click here to do that. If you remember it, good for you. But many people can't remember it. For many people, it's even overwhelming, right? It's just too much information all at once, and then they worry, can I use it again in the future? Will this come up again? What if I forget, right? So these are the struggles that people have while using a lot of the apps that are out there today. So now one more important point is many of you might not have actually faced these problems, right? For us, our experiences directly evolved from the desktop to the mobile, and many of the things that we take granted for and understand intuitively is not as simple for NBUs or lower literacy digital users, right? For NBUs, the mobile phones are their source and introduction to their digital journey, right? They would have used the internet for the first time with their smartphone. So their experience has to be very simple. There cannot be a high entry barrier, otherwise they'll just drop off. They will lose confidence and they'll never come back to your app. At the same time, the experience should also allow them to evolve, right? As they get more comfortable, as they get and start understanding UI paradigms, they should be able to complete user journeys, right? So the experience should be flexible in that way. So let's look at some case studies now, right? Now, I already told, right, that this is no longer sci-fi. This is actually happening. So there are brands in India which are integrating voice assistant functionality in their apps, and we'll just take a look at some of them. So we'll start with the e-commerce domain. So the first example there is Amazon India. So Amazon India has integrated Alexa into their shopping app. Right? So you can enable the app by going onto the top bar near the search bar or the button near the Alexa icon, right? So it supports English, and voice search and voice navigation is supported. So you can search for stuff like Bluetooth speakers or where's my order. Amazon incidentally reported that during their Great Indian Sale in October 2020, during the Prime early access part of the sale, they had 1 million interactions with Alexa. Now, Flipkart is another major e-commerce player in the Indian market. It was recently acquired by Walmart a few years ago. So they also have a voice assistant. You can activate it by clicking on the mic button in the top. It supports English and Hindi. So it can understand local dialects and mixed request terms, right? So you don't only have to speak in English or only Hindi. Even if it's a mixed sort of request, it still understands it and completes the search. And they built all of this in-house and took 2 years to build it out. JioMart is another recent entrant into the e-commerce industry. They have also voice-enabled their app. Now, the good thing about their voice assistant is it is capable of completing simple user journeys entirely, right? So you can do voice search. You can even go ahead and add the product to your cart and do simple navigation journeys, right? So all of this is supported just by voice. Of course, you can actually go and type and search as well. It supports 2 languages, English and Hindi. And so basic terms like show me biscuits or show me cold drinks, all of this work. Now, the next example is Nykaa. It is a growing e-commerce company. It focuses on beauty, wellness, and fashion products. So they have integrated with our retail assistant, the Slang Retail Assistant. It's been optimized for the retail domain. It works in English, and voice search functionality is supported. So things like show me red MAC lipstick, right? Utterances like this would work fine. Now, one interesting thing with this is the assistant is context aware, right? So inside the app, if you say something like search for eyeshadow, it'll know that you're talking about the eye and not the eye word literally, right? So all of this comes with the assistant being inside the app and being aware of the context of the app, right? Outside the app, it's a coin toss, right? What does the speech recognition actually recognize the speech, right? So this is one of the advantages of having a voice assistant living inside your app. Now, the other domain we'll look at is travel. So we'll first look at Redbus. Redbus is a very popular bus booking service, and they have a presence across the country. They've also integrated with us. They are using the Slang Travel Assistant. It supports English and Hindi. So you can invoke it by clicking the mic icon over there. The mic icon is also sort of dynamic. When you scroll, it sort of collapses. The screenshot on the bottom is the Hindi greeting prompt asking the user for source, destination, and date of their travel. Now, one interesting thing about this assistant is it supports a back and forth interaction, right? Like unlike, say, the retail domain where you just search, where you just say that I want blue jeans. Over here, you need actually 3 entities. You need the source, you need the destination, and you need the travel date. So say a user spoke something like, I want to travel from Delhi to Mumbai, but they never specified the date. So the assistant is going to come back and ask them, hey, when did you want to travel? So the whole thing is taken care of by the assistant, right? The disambiguation flow, the back and forth interaction. So this is something that's supported in this assistant. Now we look at banking and finance, this is one example that some of you might be familiar with, is Bank of America's virtual financial assistant called Erica. It supports English. Their website says that they're working on Spanish. I don't know whether it'll be out, but they're working on it. And it supports a bunch of user journeys like transactions, viewing balance, rewards, account statements, and whatnot. And during the pandemic, when the pandemic started, Bank of America actually optimized Erica. They added a bunch of phrases so that Erica can actually answer user queries based on COVID-19 questions. And within a year, they saw the results, right? By Q1 2021, Erica had 19.5 million users and 105 million interactions in Q1 2021 alone, right? And the efficacy was reportedly 90%. Now, Paytm, this is a very interesting use case, right? So in India, UPI has enabled the masses to perform digital transactions with the click of a button, right? You can think Venmo, but just way more convenient. So I won't go into details about how UPI works. You can look it up yourselves. It's pretty cool the way it works. You should definitely check it out. So Paytm is one of the companies in India which allows users to send and receive money via UPI. Now, if you see the screen here, this is a sample of how a payment confirmation screen would look like. Now, this, again, comes with the literacy challenge, right? Many merchants, which are, say, roadside vendors, are not necessarily educated, or even if they are educated, they're not necessarily comfortable with English. So what happens is they rely on the color of the confirmation screen, right? A green tick means the transaction was successful. A red tick or a red screen probably means the transaction failed, right? So they have to rely on the color because they cannot read the text. They might be able to read the amount, but not the text. So now this is a category of audience for whom voice would be incredibly useful and empowering, right? So even something simple as a voice confirmation can go a long way in building trust. So that's what Paytm did, right? They handled this by adding another hardware device, right? It's called a soundbox. And whenever you do a payment, you scan the QR code, you make a payment, the soundbox actually speaks out that the transaction was successful. Right? Now, this is another application of voice, although this is not inside the app, and this is also not voice input. This is voice output. Right? The soundbox speaks out the confirmation, and the user knows that, OK, the transaction went through, I got paid. Now, the third example is ICICI Direct. This is the largest retail broker in India. Users can buy and sell stocks and mutual funds using their platform. So they've also integrated with our banking assistant, and there's a bunch of navigation user journey supported. You can view your tax statements, capital gain statements, et cetera, et cetera. It's currently in English, and support for voice search for stocks is on the way. So things like show my capital gain statement or show my equity statements, all of this works. So far, we've seen how voice will help users, right? Now let's take a look at the other side, right? How does voice help apps? So firstly, voice prompt design can help direct app users, right? Voice prompts can be leveraged to direct users into a particular user journey in your app. Now think a user opens your app, they don't know what to do. They click on the mic button, and the greeting prompt comes up and says, hey, what would you like to search for today? You've already moved their attention towards search, right? So they're going to try search then, if you design the prompts correctly. Now, prompt design also helps apps to set expectations, right? And then because the expectations are set properly, users are delighted when they actually use the experience. And the one other thing is you can use prompts to actually even offer promotions or provide information when they open the app for the first time, or help during onboarding, right? So something like a voice prompt speaking out saying, hey, click on this bar and fill out your information, stuff like that. Amazon has something like that in one of their user journeys inside the Amazon India app. Second is voice can allow apps to provide a multilingual experience without having to change the default locale, right? So the locale in which the user talks to the app can coexist with the default locale. So this is especially helpful for people who can understand the app's default locale. So say a Spanish speaker using an English app, but they might be more comfortable in if given the option to speak in their native language, right? So say for a grocery app, if they're trying to search for a product, they don't have to go and look up the English translation of it. They can just speak whatever it's called in their native language, and the assistant will take care of the rest. Now, one more thing is voice can completely flatten your app's UI, right? Think about the banking use case, right? If say you want to order a new credit card or you want to update some details, it'll be probably in some obscure area of the app. You have to search for it. But using voice, you can just go to all these different parts of the app without having to click so many times, right? It can fix the issue of discovery. Complemented with the proper prompt design, all your features in the app are suddenly very accessible by the user. So, key takeaways, what did we learn? Leading brands across domains have already started adding voice to their apps. It's no longer something that's just theory, it's actually happening and people are using it. The next thing is voice can serve different purposes for a variety of different personas, right? The tech savvy, the not so tech savvy, and the NBO crowd. All of them have different needs, and voice can offer a solution for all of them. Brands need to voice enable their offerings, right? Again, this is not just convenience, but also accessibility, and also all the way in between, right? It can depend on the digital literacy of the user. Voice can make things faster, easier, and more accessible, like we saw with the discovery, with the flattening of the app UI, with the multilingual experience. All of this can coexist with the app's existing functionality. And the last thing is, smartphone devices outnumber smart speakers. So whenever brands are strategizing about using voice, they have to think accordingly, right? It's not just build some skills for a smart device. It's not just that, because a lot more people are using apps than smart device. Yeah. So that was it. Thank you so much for attending.